Welcome to my patch overview thing. I don't even know what it's called nowadays. But anyway, here's a look at my inland patch. This is me on top of Chapel Cornbury, the northern part of my inland patch. It's my Vismig spot. You probably hear some pipits, linnets passing. And then behind me is basically my inland patch towards, I can't quite see, but anyway you can see the sea in the background. So from here right to the sea is my inland patch and then my coastal patch. This hill has been very good so far. Golden Oriole, Wryneck, red-throated pipit flew over in the Vismig. So it's a nice focal point for the inland patch. And yeah, I'm just now here looking for an American Warbler. I'm probably going to fail. And here's a slightly better view of my patch So as you can see, after this hill, it's pretty much farmland with a bit of wooded valley. Not great access to these areas, but that's pretty much both my patches. Just walking hedgerows, lanes, footpaths. There's a couple ponds that are visible. There was a nice little wet patch that was good for a wader or two, but unfortunately it's dried up, so hopefully it gets wet again soon. But it's the southwest of Cornwall, so it doesn't really matter what the habitat is, really. Things just arrive and stay. So it's and actually most of my birding is not done on the coastal cliffs, but actually in these inland areas, because I think they seem to get to, this is my theory, they get to the southwest, right to Land's End, and then they turn and kind of head into these inland valleys. If you turn around now, you might just see a very bad view of a chough. There we go. They're not actually that common on my inland patch, so it's quite a nice sight. This is me now at one of the wooded valleys inland on my patch. A lot of cover, a lot of hidden ponds in there, but also very good. Even, where are we going? Even the fields behind are pretty always full of birds. Really good in winter. Lots of winter thrushes, finches. So yeah, still no success with the American Warbler. This is the main wooded valley leading down to the coast on my path. Probably about a dozen American passerines just hiding in amongst all this. It's very good for yellow-browed firecrest, lots of Cheshire blackcap, but no American Warbler yet. I'm now on the most coastal part of my patch, where you can see coast path and a little bit of coast, hopefully. There we go. Some nice gardens and far too much cover, but it's and no American migrant yet, but early days.
When it turns into the sunlight, it just burns out the underwing completely. You can't see nothing. Corey's coming in close a bit now. Orange boy. Still. Come on now, look at these bloody goals.
And this is my sea watching spot, the infamous Cornwall. I don't think you can see the runnel stone, but there's the famous rock that keeps me sheltered. Yeah, it doesn't need much explaining. Probably one of two best sites for sea watching in the UK.
Thanks, Ryan, for that video. It's really interesting look around your patch. And welcome everybody to the August Patchwork Challenge update. I mean, this is early October because it's autumn and we're going birding and we're absolutely not doing any processing of scores. So I'm really apologetic. We know we'll try harder this coming month. We won't achieve any more. Might even be worse, but you know, we'll try our best, won't we, Ryan?
Maybe.
So I'm James Spencer. I'm hosting in lieu of Mark and in Pete. I'm third choice, basically. You know, it's getting desperate measures when I'm in the chair. But joined today by Ryan Irvin, who we talked to last month about all his seabirds. Have you seen any more seabirds in August?
I think I did. I can't quite remember.
Yeah,
oh yeah, a few Fia's petrels.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't too bad.
No, that's all right. That's all right then. And I'm sure there's more bits and pieces to tell from September, but we'll skip over those. And we're also joined by the famous Toby Phelps, internationally famous. Toby actually does do Patchwork Challenge, and we're only going to talk about Burton Mere. So welcome, Toby.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. No problem. So, yeah, we'll talk to Toby a little bit about his fun September, and we'll also touch on his patch and his birding and what he's been up to over the last couple of weeks and what's been so special. So, right, I will just flash up the presentation. Right, so here's the presentation for August. We're going to start off with a quick catch up with Toby, talk about his patch of Burton Mere. Then we're going to get into the best birds of August. These are mostly the best ones I could find pictures of on Twitter rather than the actual best birds. There are some mini leagues, the first batch of those. We'll then go into a bit of patch gold, even more mini leagues. We have a court of appeal this month, even with a picture of Judge Judy. So Mark will be happy. The last batch of mini leagues, top 10s, and then we'll have a little bit of prediction for October. I know by the time you're looking at this, probably halfway through October, maybe even into November. So we'll probably be right because we'll just predict the stuff that's turned up in the last 5 days. Right, let's get cracking. So we've got Toby Phelps. He is a patch birder at Burton Mere. He works with me and Ryan. And yeah, he's been in the paper. Couple of papers. And here he is. And he's even gone international. So, Toby, tell us about your month, man.
Yeah, I can start with the megas first off. So yeah, last September, towards the end of the September, was pretty mental. Back in my home county, Pembrokeshire, for a few days a week, and it was Wednesday, I think the 20th. It was a sea watch. Well, I thought it was a sea watching day. So I went sea watching for a little bit, and it was rubbish. So got up, walked around the headland at St Guvans, which is on the south coast of Pembrokeshire. I really like that place. It's quite close to where my parents live, and used to go there quite a bit when I was younger birding. And yeah, dropped into the little valley there. Kind of wishfully thinking, and yeah, something flicking around in the blackthorn there materialized into a magnolia warbler. So that, yeah,
Incredible.
just
Yeah,
mental, absolutely incredible. Saw it watched it that evening for maybe half an hour in total. Just in the blackthorn, in the bracken, just flicking around, just stunning. And it was there the next morning for a whole host of people came down to see it, and was there. I think it stayed for about a week around St Guvans, just around the car park, and there's patches of scrub all over the place. I think it just moved up to with a bit more cover for it. And so that was Wednesday, and I was out birding again on the weekend. I was planning to go to my brother's graduation later on in the afternoon, and that didn't actually happen. And so Saturday I was birding a little place called Stack Rocks, which is about 2.5 miles west of St Guvans along the coast there.
okay.
And just going on the fact that magnolia warbler was 2 miles away, and thought maybe it's something else out there. So yeah, spent about an hour or so, a couple of hours walking down the road, got to a patch of willows, walked up and down it quite a few times, not seeing much, but there was lots of birds there, great tits, blue tits, chiffchaffs, black caps, gold crests, all sorts. And yeah, just did a bit of fishing, and something just popped up into view on the edge of the willows, and it was, well, look like that picture there, yellow and blue. We know how it goes. And yeah, just, I mean, I can't believe I did it again, basically.
No, absolutely mental.
And yeah, so there was a bit of a mad panic for everybody who was over twitching the magnolia warbler to come over to see the Canada warbler. And it showed a bit throughout the rest of the day on Saturday, but was pretty hard to see. So I saw it amongst a lot of people later on in the afternoon, but it was quite elusive. And the scene wasn't seen the next day, but was seen in the evening on Monday.
Yeah.
Because it was on MOD land, so they train and they fire in the weekdays, so people couldn't go down until it opened at 5. So yeah, a crazy few days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, obviously, from telling that story, I can tell you've told it once or twice, including to me. So yeah, absolutely incredible and a birder's dream. But I think what you've done there is obviously you've read the winds. I would say you've read the winds spot on because you've got yourself right in the right place. But I know full well, like you say, you went to go sea watching. But it's a bit of luck, but it's also doing the things that you need to do when the weather hits. Pembrokeshire was obviously the epicenter of a big fall of American land birds, and that's fantastic. But you've got to use your nous and actually get yourself out there and actually be looking for the right things at the right time. What I was going to ask is, what tips can you give Ryan on how to find American land birds and the timing?
Look, those willows. Playing around that part of Cornwall.
Oh,
No,
there's too much willows.
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm only being facetious, obviously, and it's an incredible. It is skill to get yourself in the right place and to be looking at the right things at the right time, and obviously.
Absolutely, because the amount of people that twitch the Magnolia Warbler over the next few days before the Canada Warbler was seen were tweeting saying, "Oh, I've looked all over the valleys. There's nothing else. Oh yeah," and then you rock
The same
up
person.
you rock up the same, the next time you go out birding and find another one. So obviously they weren't looking that hard.
Well, yeah, it's one of those. I mean, no one really birds that patch of the coastline in Pembrokeshire. It's crying out for like a regular birder, and yeah, that patch of stacked rocks. I kind of had a feeling no one was going to be birding it. They'd go to all the sort of more well-known sites in Pembrokeshire, St David's and Dale area, up to the west of the county. So yeah, that was kind of why I picked there, and it worked. So.
What was the rarest bird you'd seen in that area before, or found in that area before?
I'd never found much there when I was a sort of a teenager birding it up. It's quite good I liked it for Vismig, so there was always loads of like skylarks and finches and stuff going over in October. But I think people had like woodchat shrike, redback shrike along that coast before, and hoopoo, and like mostly spring stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, not being funny, but it's going to be quite similar to what Ryan's getting on his patch. In theory, it's the closest bit of away from Cornwall. It's a very sort of similar position. It's going to be affected by the same sorts of weather conditions. Probably not quite as concentrated as Cornwall, but still a pretty good setup. So you'd expect sort of similar sorts of things. And I know, Ryan, obviously you've done pretty well this year in your first year down in Cornwall. Is there any tips you'd give Toby to work in it? Not that he needs them, but if he's not seen anything else there before.
I would just live there.
Yeah. Leave Chester and just bugger off back to.
Tell your boss that you don't need to be near the office.
Did you tell your boss you needed to be near the office that day, Toby?
No. No, I didn't. It was a bit of a last-minute decision to go down. I just went on, made the decision Tuesday evening after I finished work and just went. But I didn't say I was there until then I had to say I was there. So.
Yeah, there's no hiding that. So no, just incredible.
It's just as well everyone's birders.
Yeah,
and understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was no. So for those that aren't aware, I used to be Toby's boss, no longer, thankfully. So I couldn't get mad. I just looked at the beautiful birds. But we all work together. So we were all just laughing at him sloping off and hiding down in Pembrokeshire and finding all these silly birds. So yellow birds, obviously absolute dreams to find. in your mind's eye, what were you looking for? Was it like, were you, what had you pictured that you were going to find?
Well, the Magnolia Warbler evening, the whole sort of plan was, after sea watching was so rubbish, I wanted to look for a buff-breasted sandpiper or buff-breasted sandpipers, just on the cliff top, because it's night. Like, there's been a couple of records I think down that part before. Now I think about it, like the wind was from the west. It felt like there could be one there. It's a nice place. But then I saw that they had that like probable, possible older flycatcher on Skookum Island, and I sort of just went, "Whoa, could that happen here? It's not that far away." If you went like 3 or 4 miles west, you could see Skookum from that part of Pembrokeshire. So
it's completely flipped your expectations.
Yeah,
well, not your expectations, but your hopes.
And so I went into that valley. That's the entire reason why I decided to do that. I wasn't thinking I'd find anything, but you never know, do you? You've just got to try. And
I mean, obviously, I mean, we joked about finding the second one, and this was actually your second work anniversary. And on your first work anniversary, you did what Mark Lewis couldn't, and found a first for Northeast Scotland in Horniman's Arctic Red Pole. So, you know, you've got form, and you know, we were laughing about there is the really big one, and just amazing find, and obviously stuff like bay-breasted warbler, and isn't that first? I know there's lots of nods and winks and nudges and what have you about the original record. I'm too young, I couldn't tell you, but yeah, this, like the Canada Warbler, obviously fantastic to find. But in terms of what you thought, you've seen this for the Magnolia Warbler, obviously it's a beautiful bird. You first thought you see this flashy yellow go out past you, or whatever it is. What's going through your mind?
Well, that was the thing. That was my first view, was just this flash dive into the bush, the blackthorns in front of me, and the initial thought was just like, "Whoa, what was that? That seems weird, weirdly coloured, weirdly bright." Like, obviously the main colour I got was yellow. As it just dived into the willows, and like I just tried to keep my head cool. I didn't want to jump to anything crazy, because I thought, well, maybe just blue tit, because I mean blue tits are yellow. They're not as bright as that, but they're kind of yellow. And like it was just sort of like at the corner of my eye, sort of just dump into the bushes. But when I finally got round to the sheltered side, and it was flicking in the bracken after some like being elusive and giving me sort of like tantalizing views, it shook some bits of bracken and stuff like that. When it perched up and I just got a full-on view of it, I just completely lost my mind. Basically, it just went, "Oh my god!" Because it was And then,
I think that's the great thing about birding, when you're finding your own birds. Obviously, not find anything that rare, but when you do find something rare, that feeling is incredible. And it is, as you say, he's trying to keep cool and get a photo if you can. I bet that was your next panic moment.
Yeah,
get the photo.
Exactly. That was like, because at St Gummon's as well, there's absolutely no signal. It's very intermittent, even on like the cliff top, but in that valley, it's completely dead. So I was like, I've got to get a picture. I've got to tell people are here. It's like 7-ish maybe now, so any people who are close-ish could probably make it. I don't think anyone else saw it that evening. But it was just like, got to get a picture. Got to tell people this is here. This is just unbelievable. This is mad.
I mean, that's bonkers. But obviously, you did manage to get pictures, some really, really good pictures, and subsequently, the World and his wife came down, had a look. You were in The Guardian, you were in the New York Times, you've been on Canadian radio. All of that must have been incredibly surreal. What have you made of the last couple of weeks?
Just amazing. Like on Twitter and stuff like that, loads of people congratulating me and stuff, and like that's just brilliant. I mean, I don't do it for congratulations. I do it because I love birds.
Yeah.
But and then yeah, all the press attention was really surprising. I didn't realize it was going to be as sort of exciting as it was for like the New York Times. I guess they're North American species, so they'd have a bit of interest in that. But it was quite fun. Like talking on the Canadian radio the other day. That was quite a fun experience. That quite a weird experience, but good. Yeah.
Amazing. Just one more bit. I just want to touch on your Canada Warbler before we get into the really important bits, which is your actual patch. So got a message that just said Canada Warbler from you, and this is about the same time as it's breaking. But me and Ryan were also talking in the background at the time with Mark Lewis and with Pete, who also does this, and Pete Williams, and you hadn't got a photo, and there's hundreds of twitches coming. Well, now that must have been a slightly daunting experience.
Yeah,
and
it was.
As such, because obviously you found a first of Britain. That's mad. That's like, you know, pedestal type experiences, and it's bright yellow and blue, and that's pretty cool. But oh my god, there's all that pressure to make sure you get the call right, and then is it going to be seen again and all that. So can you just give us a little brief run through on that and
yeah, of course,
how that went?
So yeah, the Canada Warbler was it was a lot more elusive. There was a lot more cover for it to hide in first off, so it was a lot more elusive. But so I saw it on the edge of those willows just from the road down towards the car park there at Stack Rocks. Just like first, just like half the bird, then it flicked out entirely, and I got a full view of it. And that's kind of like, I knew pretty quickly it was a Canada Warbler. I'd not seen one before, but I remember brushing up on Canada Warbler and other New World Warblers when I went to New Hampshire in the spring. It was one of the birds I really wanted to see when I went there. And so I knew instantly what it was, but and then I sort of just my head sort of went again, and I was all over the place. And then it flicked into the willows. I saw it again, just in there for barely a second, like just a quick view, and it darted off again. And then I just panicked because I was like, I don't know where this is going to go next. Is it going to be here? Is it going to move? So I quickly messaged out, and then obviously that caused basically everybody who was twitching the Magnolia Warbler on Saturday to drive 2 miles west to see it. And so it must have been maybe 10-15 minutes, I think, before the first people arrived, and I'd not seen it again in that time. And I was like, oh no. It's kind of like a bit going, oh, right, I hope it's still here. I haven't got a picture of it. There's no proof that this was here except me saying it is. And
it was still there though.
It was still there. I think it was about an hour before it was refound, but it was quite a tense hour. And I think some people heard it call. There was like some sort of tantalizing views of it, and then someone shouted, "It's here," and everybody basically forced their way through to try and get a view of it. But it was kind of like, oh, phew, it's like there for people to see, and that was a good feeling. And I'm pleased it was, and pleased people were able to connect with it through the day on Saturday.
Oh, amazing! Can I just say just quickly? I've stolen a couple of pictures off of your Twitter. Apologies to the photographers. If you want crediting, just give us a shout and we'll add it to the video. Or we'll take these bits down and hide them with some sort of magic. But yeah, that's just incredible. And obviously all this afterglow, all this fantastic stuff. Ryan, did you have any questions for Toby?
Did I?
No, do you? I'm asking, do you? I'm trying to bring you into the conversation.
I thought you were setting me up there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything. Those pictures kind of sum up everything, don't they? It's How are you going to better it?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I'll try to better it. I think it might take a bit of time. We'll see. Maybe
Yeah,
something
no,
else
it's.
from
I mean, these kind of storms, I think, are probably going to become more regular, and you just have to hope the next one hits Pembrokeshire again, or Cheshire, wherever
Yeah.
you may be.
Or Cheshire, yeah.
Or you might be in
Maybe that's
Cornwall.
like
Let's
it.
hope it hits there this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What a pair of you are see watching at Porthgora, eh? No, so we've done enough about bird finding, twitching, and all those other cool things around these bright yellow birds. But Toby, could you want to just tell us about your patch and Patchwork Challenge and what you've been up to this year?
Yeah, of course. So my patch is, as it says there, Burton Mere. It also includes a bit of the marsh, the D marshes at Burton as well, and a sailing lake called Shotton Sailing Lake, which is about maybe 1 kilometre south of Burton Mere. So it covers, yeah, a decent. I tried to have a variety of habitats as much as I can there.
So this is in the sort of region of Parkgate, sort of south side of the Wirral
Yeah.
area. For those that aren't aware of where Burton Mere is.
Yeah, sort of south of the Wirral, south of Parkgate on the D marshes there.
So
And
what sort of habitats you got on there then?
so the marsh is obviously estuarine marsh. It rarely floods fully because it's about from Burton, I think, to the actual river. It's a couple of miles, I think. It's a quite expansive marsh. So there's areas of like scrubby willows and trees along the edges. There's a couple of freshwater pools on the marsh itself and reed beds as well, sort of like interspersed in various parts of the marsh as well. Burton Mere obviously is an RSPB reserve. It's a really, really good RSPB reserve. Loads of nice wader scrapes and nice selections. There's a little patch of woodland as well. There's quite a lot of herons and egrets that breed at Burton Mere as well. Decent patches of willows and a nice little called Burton Point, which isn't much of a point, but it's kind of sticks out a bit. And there's a nice sort of trees and a few bushes around there which do hold migrants, so it's quite nice. And there's just fields, and then Shottick Lake is a freshwater lake that has quite a lot of ducks in the winter. So there's plenty to go at there.
Oh, brilliant. And how's your year gone so far? And have you had any highlights or good finds?
It's been a decent year. I've not found a great deal. Yeah, I just people beat me to bits.
a lot of retired people getting out.
I've seen some really nice stuff at Burton Mere. So the springtime was really good. There was singing Savvy's warbler there in the spring for a week, I think, maybe a bit less than a week, which was the first with the reserve. That was really cool. Blackwing stilts, as there was loads of blackwing stilts everywhere. It felt like in the spring there was a couple or maybe 3, I think, at Burton Mere. I managed to see one of them. I think my best bird in spring was probably a gull-billed tern that I missed the first day because I was surveying somewhere for work. And I managed to connect with in the evening the following day, which I was so relieved at. It was a British tip for me as well, that one, so it was really
fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, it was a really good bird. But Burton Mere is like full of waders and ducks in the winter, and pink-footed geese obviously are all over the marshes in the winter, and they're back now, a lot of them. And wood sands in the spring, green sands sort of June onwards, and there's quite a lot of black-headed gulls that breed there at Burton Mere as well, and avocets. There's quite
so it sounds like there's plenty to go at then, and plenty of variety, loads of different bits and pieces. I know we were talking about sort of vismic spots and stuff like that, and hopefully there's still, what have you got left to go at this year? Is there anything particularly left to target?
Yeah, it's mostly vismic stuff now, I think. So I'm on 146 species.
Oh,
and I'd love to get to 150. That would be a really. I think my original target was 140, but I've done that all right. So I'm going to try and push for 150. But it's going to be things like flyover finches, brambling. I had a couple of yellowhammers last autumn, so just on Bismix. So I still need yellowhammer and rock pipit and
Got
other
stuff like
different-
snow. You've got twite, haven't you? But snow bunting or
I've not had snow bunting would be a good one.
Lapland and
Lapland,
Shorelar.
I had Lapland bunting last year.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a few bits to go at, and like anything with the geese, or it used to be quite a traditional good spot for Buick swans, the D marshes and the D estuary, but that sort of changed a bit over the last sort of 10
stopping
years.
in Norfolk.
Yeah. But there was a handful last year that were pretty hard to catch up with. So if I'm luckier this year, then that'll
Touch
do.
wood. Touch
Yeah.
wood. Oh, excellent. And are you going to stop with us for the rest of the podcast just to give us a third wheel so that it's not just me and Ryan talking to ourselves? That'd be really good.
Now, I was just going to say about Burton Mere. I just realised. I just googled it now. One of my I've been there quite a few times actually. One of my good
in
friends
a marsh farm
used to
or
be,
whatever it was.
Yeah, it used to be in a marsh farm, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think. And one of my friends my good friends from uni was the assistant warden there for a few years. So I used to go and visit. I think the first time I went there, saw Long-billed Dowager there. So.
Oh yeah, I did catch up with one of those in the in the autumn, and it's stayed through to the winter. So it's got a good site for a Long-billed Dowager.
Yeah, this is going back 20 years. Maybe?
Yeah.
2000. Yeah, it would have been because I was working in North Wales at a town colony. So while he was there. So I'm trying to remember the warden's name. He'd been there forever, and I'm pretty sure he still probably is.
Must be. Yeah, I think I've met the former warden. He's still around. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he would ever leave. Yeah.
No.
I remember. Yeah, I do
Turd in
remember.
the mud.
I remember. I think it was still quite new, the wetlands, when I was there, but I can't quite remember now. But I remember going to the marshes, the DS train, watching the harrier roost and everything like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
That's another thing it's good for. Yeah.
And he had the greatest address ever. Because he lived in Neston. He lived in Neston Road, and the name of his house was Sandpipers. So Sandpipers Neston Road.
Oh, very good.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, you give him that. That's excellent. Right. Thank you, Toby. We will move on because otherwise we'll be here all night. But cheers, man. That was really good and lovely to get a bit more insight into your two awesome finds and your patch. We should have delved more into the patch, but it's not bright and yellow, is it? So we'll have to be excused this time. Right. So we'll get into the best birds of August 2023. I animated this and it's supposed to all just come in one at a time, but it has not done that. So Daniel Langston had a white rum sandpiper on the left, but it's been obscured by some things. Then we've got Daniel Newton found a Bonaparte skull, where you should be able to see the lovely picture, but again obscured. I'm really sorry. This is me rushing and getting it horribly wrong. Then we've got Rob up at Nibster with his greenish warbler. Trust me, that's a beautiful shot of a greenish warbler, but you can just see his tag Nina in it. And that's a citrine wagtail by Sean O'Hara. Oh, James, what have you done? And
it's like Mark's here.
Yeah, that's a video still of a Sabine skull in Wakefield, just poking out on the right hand side. Although, to be honest, the picture's no better than what you can see there. It's like a dot on a lake. And then we've got a bee eater for Simon Warford in Manchester with his fellow patcher Simon in the background. The bird is actually under the red-footed booby somewhere, annoyingly, and I assume that's one of the failed birds that attempted to breed in Manchester. Why are bee eaters trying to breed in Manchester, Ryan?
Not very bright.
Even global warming doesn't explain that.
Yeah.
And then we get into the really good stuff. We've got Scott Reed. I mean, he basically went out on a boat and saw all the seabirds, didn't he? But South Polar Skewer, Scopoly shearwater, red-footed booby, and brown booby. So, and he saw all sorts of bits and pieces. So, I know that he was involved in the finds for some of those. I know, obviously, a lot of credit, especially for the Scopoly's identification initially for a good few of them, and for the identification on the South Polar Skewer goes to Bob Flood and the Silly Pelagics guys. Amazing, just amazing run. And obviously we touched on this quite a lot talking with Ryan last month. But yeah, what an amazing summer. Slightly worrying, but obviously a La Nina year, but a massive La Nina year, getting all these birds up into UK waters in the southwest. So fantastic. But no biggie that I've found on Twitter photographed, but we'll get into the mini leagues and there's a few more bits and pieces. So I'm going to hand over to Ryan, and he can talk us through the first session of mini leagues.
All right, I'll make this nice and quick. So the Estuarine 10K league, Irene Boston's winning with 185 points. Adam Day has reached his targets. I'm not sure what his target was. 175 points potentially.
Yeah, I think so.
Or 130. So it must be, because it can't be 137 bird species. That's a bit too accurate. But yeah, no highlights for bonus point birds.
No,
so we go on to the 3K Estuarine League. Paul Borman is quite a bit ahead at the moment, although Toby Collett probably going to be catching him soon, because I think he's had a not bad month in the last month. So yeah, but he's the only other one to break 200 points. And having a look at the bonus, I thought you said you'd highlighted red and yellow.
Yeah, there's nothing good there.
Oh, is there not? Okay.
There's,
I like
there's,
red. Red next
yeah.
telecope's all right.
Yeah, oh come on, there's
Yeah,
levels. Come
Okay.
on. This is where I'm going to get absolutely slated when I've got highlights on drop.
Lots of nice scarcities for everyone.
Yeah,
Estuarine, look down at the bottom there. Estuarine, Razorbill, Guillemot, and Fulmer. I've been noticing a lot on Twitter about Razorbills, Guillemots coming into estuaries and are really just close to shore. I think East Norfolk at the moment are getting large numbers, like meters off the shore at the moment.
Yeah, Razorbills particularly on my patch.
Yeah,
just huge much more so than Guillemots. I don't know why, but yeah, lots and lots of Razorbills very close in.
Yeah, my friends in East Norfolk say they can hear them while they're sea watching.
Yeah, all the time. It's very weird.
Yeah. All right, so move on to page 2, see what else. Oh, no highlights in the second page of the Estuarine League. So we'll move on. Oh, Toby Phelps.
He's
second bottom.
Not been going to Flint very much then, Toby.
Yeah, that one is not gone.
You may have found 2 American Warblers, but you're second bottom of the Estuarine League. The important things. Anyway, Coastal East Anglia 10K. Nigel is winning 293, a nice score there. James Brown, I used to share the same patch as him many moons ago, 280. I can't believe his highlight was in Shearwater. But anyway, Jake Garrity has been gallivanting around Australia, so he hasn't updated for a while. And the only big highlight, look at that, the yellow is working. Black Stork for Scott Mason in his Woodbridge patch.
There you go.
So Coastal East England, the main league, Spurn, and Norfolk. That's a bit you can say, but yeah. So Jacob Spinks is running away with it really at the moment. It shows what finding does. He's only 1 species ahead of Rob Hunton, but he has 22 more points. Trevor Girling is leading the. Sorry.
Let's just said all the fine points by the looks of this.
Yes. Trevor Girling's leading the Norfolk charge with 289 points, but Tim Hodge isn't too far behind. And the highlights for August are American Golden Plover, White Thumbed Sandpiper, and a Greenish Warbler for Rob Little in Flamborough. Nice early one. A bit of patch gold, Jay at Bempton Cliffs.
Yeah, we don't have Jays in East Yorkshire. They're not allowed.
Fair enough.
There you go.
Second page, Scott Mason had a nice Ortland bunting. I remember seeing the photos, I think, on Twitter. So, yeah, nice one to get for August as well. That's quite early. Next page.
Sorry, yeah, falling asleep there.
Yeah, and there's no highlights at the bottom of the table, unsurprisingly. Coastal Ireland, Daniel Newton is still winning at RSPB Wow. Bonaparte's Gull, very nice.
It is a very nice looking bird.
And
that
patch
one as
gold coloured dove, even better. That's what I like to see. Coastal Scotland 10k, the top three. So Julian Smith, was he leading last? I don't think he was he?
No, I think Rob was leading
I
last
thought
time.
Rob,
no?
yeah, so 190. It's a close league, really. So,
It's
but
good,
yeah,
this
Spotted
one.
Crake, White-billed Diver, 2 Marsh Warblers. It's, yeah, it's a good league.
Excellent.
Only free, but anyone can win it.
Definitely.
Right, and I presume it's this Coastal Scotland 3K league. Oh, and Mark Lewis has managed to creep up to third.
He's updated, yeah.
Yeah, so Colin Davidson, Julian Smith are in the 180s, but no highlights, whereas Nina had nice Corys and Greenish Warbler, as did Rob Hughes.
He had them the other way round, though.
I know, yeah. Well, but Nina must have got the fine points because she's 4 points ahead, despite being 3 species behind. So she was finding the ball.
Try harder, Rob.
Coastal South England 10k. AB Rob Jones is running away with it. She's broken the 200-point barrier, and Bob Ford is closely behind in 196. But there is no highlights. It's disappointing. And the Coastal South England 3K league. We'll ignore the top.
I think we've talked about that enough, but some nice birds though there, mate.
I just want to say something. The red doesn't work. I can't read it. Can you read
it? Okay, I'm sorry. Everyone's a critic.
I wrote that and I still don't know what it says.
You know what
Fierce
it says.
Petrol. Yeah. Yeah, so Fierce Petrol, yeah. I can't believe you gave Ryneck a yellow. That's
It was easier to highlight all yellow than pick out. That's my excuse.
So anyway, yeah, so Steve Waite is still in second place after his excellent winter. Joe Stockwell still hasn't updated for probably 6 months now.
Come on, Joe.
And then AB Rob Jones is not too far behind. And it looks like a bit of patch gold, teal, and goosander for Tim Jones. I wouldn't mind a goosander on my patch.
It must be quite a good record for North Coast and North Devon. So
yeah.
Very good. Excellent.
Right, and the second half of the page, no highlights. Coastal Wales. There might be a few more highlights next week. But Dave Astons is on 148, and Peter Howlett's not too far behind, 140. He's had a bit of migration, but all the common migrants, yellow wagtail, spot fly, tree pipit. That's one thing I've noticed living down here compared to the East Coast.
Yeah.
The amount of like spot flies and tree pipits I'm finding on my patch.
Really?
Compared to East Norfolk. Yeah, I had a look at, I was speaking to Mark about it.
Okay.
I've seen over 80 tree pipits since August.
80? Blimey.
On Vismig, basically.
Yeah.
Some days you have double figures. Whereas I probably didn't have 80 in 10 years in East Norfolk. So.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's quite nice. Anyway,
nice.
On to the next. Patch gold. I'll leave that to you for a minute.
I mean, yeah, there were plenty of bits of patch gold claimed, but I thought these were some of the better ones. So we've got Tom Bedford. He's found the first corn bunting for the city of Oxford in 43 years. Obviously corn buntings are pretty much on their backside, so it's a really good record and some nice record shots there. Then Craig Round up at Lutley Wedge in Worcestershire. That's me about to trip over West Midlands and Worcestershire. So a nice juvenile goss. And then we've got Simon Bates, who had a patch gold red star in Exeter for his low carbon list. So Nice. Very good. Any patch gold for you guys this in August? I can't remember August, to be honest.
I can't remember August. And to be fair, it's my first year on this patch, so I don't really know what is patch gold.
What is gold and what is just...
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I had some mutes ones actually, but then we've already done my mutes ones this year, so I got laughed at last time, so I'm not going to do that again.
Well, they can be patch gold if you've seen them again. They're obviously just common.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they actually must have bred just off patch because they drifted down the drain and it was 3 young'uns, so that was quite nice. Anyway, we're into the mini league session 2. I will look after these ones because we're going to give Toby the Dutch names and we'll see how he gets on with those. It's penance for finding yellow things. So top up your glass and we'll try and race through these or be as slow as usual. Right, Coastal Wales, Matt Bubbers found a couple of Arctic skewers and black terns. So he's actually added some points in the 10k league. So well done to him.
Can you get a point deduction for spelling Arctic wrong?
Oh man. Oh Matt. That's poor. Yeah. that's disgusting. I mean, you know. Then Mark continues at his patches. He's not far behind. If he puts some effort in, he'll definitely relegate Matt to the bottom of the table. Coastal West England, Jane Turner is top of the pops with 183 points from 135 species. She's got a 42-point lead over Sean O'Hara. Both of them have seen citrine wagtail, the same citrine wagtail, and Jane, I think, found a second bird. So it's excellent work. And then we've still got Stephen, Pierre and Thomas, who haven't really updated for a while. The 10k league, Pierre, like I say, hasn't updated, but he's still top, bottom and in the middle. Inland North 10k, we've got a Sabs goal for Joe Woods in Wakefield as the only highlight, and then Toby Holmes leads the way on 138 points, 121 species at Red Mars Reservoirs. Joe Woods in second and Pete Williams in third on 102 points at Lockton in the Yorkshire Moors. Then Inland North proper, Duncan By killing it at World Ray Kings on 181 points. This month he's had Windchat and Common Sand. Richard Scott level also on 181 points. So this is a really good little fight here. And he's had Mandarin, Red Crested Potsherd and Tree Pipit. Tree Pipit looks like it's a bit of a patch gold job there. That's pretty nice for an inland record.
I was going to say, surely Richard should be top since he's seen less species.
Alphabetical order. It's the whatever sorting method that I used before. Yeah,
I'll have to change my name to Adam or something next
year. Aardvark Adamson. Right, and then the best bird of the month is Cy Warford's self-found bee-eater. So he gets fine points as well, which is lovely in Manchester, as we've already discussed. And then nothing remarkable to report on page 2 and even less on page 3, but still some progress because I know I had to change those around, so good stuff. Inland Scotland 10k, not much in the highlights, but Chris Pendlebury leads on 124 points at Dunblane, and George Dunbar is in second at Lochleven. So, and he's about 13 points behind and level with Mike Hodgkin. So again, alphabetical order. Then Inland Scotland 3k, you've got Luke Wake on 136 points at Loch Lomond and Zul Batia at Loch Winnock on 123 points. No highlights again. Now, this could be quite close. It's only a couple of decent finds, a good wader or a good duck, and that's really closing up. So hopefully we've got an interesting fight for the league to go. And then Chris Pendlebury rounds off the top 3 on 105 points. Then we have the Court of Appeal. Now, we have had 3 appeals this month. First up, we've got Toby Collette at Frampton. Now, Toby's updated, hooray, because he hadn't updated for months, but as Ryan said, it's probably already out of date. But he was the first to see black-winged stilt chicks. So, I mean, is that a find? Does that count as a find if you're the first person to see it in existence? Has he already got the find points for the stilts on site? And does it deserve extra points?
No.
No, of course it doesn't.
I didn't. Yeah, he's expecting to see them at some point. He's obviously watching that nest.
Yeah.
Waiting
I mean,
for them. So
he does have an advantage being the warden of the best waders site in the UK.
Yeah, he doesn't need any help.
No, he doesn't. Any thoughts, Toby? For your namesake?
I agree. No points, no extra points.
Nil point. So that's not going to the vote. Excellent. And then we've got Jane Turner at Hoylake. So as we know, the second Cheshire citrine wagtail was at Hoylake. Jane went and had a look because it's her patch, and she found the third one at the same time. For me, citrine wagtail's really pretty regular, and it's not a county first, and there's already bird on site, so I tempted to say probably nothing for that one.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think that's one for the votes, for Twitter votes.
Oh, Twitter votes. Okay, yeah, that's a simple yes no for and how many. Oh, is it how many points? How many extra points for the third?
Citrine wagtail.
So she's already
citrine wagtail 6 points.
She's already got the finder's points. So it's does she deserve extra for the Cheshire citrine wagtail?
Yeah. So extra 0, 1, 2,
3. Yeah, I think it can't be more than 3, surely.
No.
And then Tom Bedford. This one, first corn bunting in Oxford for 43 years, first patch record after 510 visits. So that's quite a lot of visits.
Yes.
I did some maths on my fingers and I got to quite a lot. So for me, this
How
is
many
probably.
fingers do you have?
I'm in East Yorkshire. I could have had anything between 6 and 14, but I'm not telling you. For the record, I have 10. Including these 2 thumbs. So Tom Bedford at Lye Valley in Oxford. I mean,
this is
classic.
Yeah, this is perfect for Patchwork Challenge. So again, I put this to Twitter, but
yeah, but I would put this
corn
as
bunting's 1 pointer.
It might
2.
be 2, but I would say I wouldn't even put 0 as an option. I would say 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah,
as your options.
Points. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is Toby. Where would you put it? How many points would you give the first corn bunting?
If it's worth 2, then I'd be inclined to go for 3. I think that's a really cool record.
Yeah. No, excellent. So total of 5 points for this corn bunting. Yeah. Okay. I don't disagree at all. I'm just clarifying. That sounds really good.
Was there another Court of Appeal? I know you were in the rush today, so we probably missed. But weren't we discussing someone was needing to, because they've seen 2 of one species, found 2 of one species, and they were needing to Court of Appeal it? Or is that September?
I think we asked them last month to stick it in, which means it must be August, but they haven't stuck it in. And if they don't appeal, don't get points.
I thought they had appealed.
Or
maybe it's September.
Maybe they'd appealed on Twitter because
I think they've appealed on Twitter. Yeah.
So if you've appealed on Twitter, I'm really sorry. I just culled this off the sheet very rapidly. We are so far behind this month, last month, the month before, that it's untrue. So I'm really sorry. We'll consider your appeal. Just stick it in the spreadsheet, please, and remind us.
I do remember when you said it. I said, "Well, I've found 2 Fiat petrels. Do I get bonus points?"
And we laughed at you, I believe. No. No, I think this depends on the circumstances, doesn't it? No. That's fine.
The rules are one bird. Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Toby? I mean, I think if you found 1 and then you find another rare bird.
So you found, say, 1 Magnolia Warbler and you found another Magnolia Warbler separate on your patch. Do you think you deserve additional finder's points, Tobes?
I'd say yeah, because I'd want the extra points. But I don't know.
Because
You
there's
should find
equal
something
value in
else.
finding another Magnolia
Yeah.
Warbler, wouldn't it? Oh,
I
But
think
so why does
if
that
it's that
change if
if it's that level of rarity, I think
but that's when I'm saying it should go to
Yeah.
Court of Appeal, and you should probably be
yeah.
looking if it's you found another Richard's Pipit or another Palace's Warbler.
Yeah, that's
Then
different.
I can't
or
remember what it is, but I think it wasn't like mega, but it
Yeah.
was a good bird. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we will consider that when we've got the full facts to hand. But as we can't,
Move on.
exactly right. So we're on to the last lot of mini leagues. Toby's going to take us through these. Charge your glass, and here we go.
Yeah, so Inland South, Hugh Venables is on 240 points, 165 species, and there's no real highlights to go on.
This is a 10k league, so
Oh yeah, 10k.
there you go.
To second page, Graham Reed, to New England and Old West, 81 points, 74 species.
You'd have thought he'd got a few more American Warblers in New England for those extra points, but alas not.
So. And the Inland South, the 3km square, Sean Davis, top, 230 points.
I think I've missed my highlights here a few times.
White Wing Blackturn's probably worth it.
Yeah, it's worth a yellow, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a cool record. White Wing Blackturn. Drew Linus, second place, 212 points, 158 species, with a Windchat and a Ringtail Harrier spur. That's the highlights. Yeah.
There's another White Wing.
There's another White Wing
yeah.
Blackturn. Yeah. Jamie Wells at Paxton Pits.
Yeah. Sorry, Jamie.
Other good bits and bobs. Temming stint there as well. Blue-headed wag. Yeah.
Very nice.
Nice stuff. Second page. Matthew Dick at Lake and Heath. 124 points, 96 species. And there's a few highlights. Osprey, Shelter, Windchat. Oh, Steve Chapman, Honey Buzzard. That's a nice one.
Oh, very good. I think it's been quite a good year for those. Probably a good few young ones wandering about.
Yeah. Inland South, the third page. Jim Bradley, 91 points at 85 species, and there's not many highlights to report. Fourth page, Jeff Gooding, Inland South, 69 points, 66 species. Someone, Rob Sawyer, ringneck parakeet herd, first time ever. Excellent.
Yeah. Absolutely excellent. Well done, Rob. There we go, and there's the fifth page
and
as
this
well.
is the fifth page, yeah. Dave Nichols. And 10-kilometer Inland Wales, Johnny Price winning and losing and whatever. 56 points, 55 species. Inland Wales, Mark Hughes at Course Dugger, 112 points at 97 species. Sean Sweeney at Saltney Ferry, 81 points, 77 species. Terry Wells, 48 points, 46 species at Whitebridge.
Should probably clarify how many of so Saltney Ferry is actually your office, isn't it, Toby?
It is, yes.
So how many of Sean's points have you actually got him?
A fair few, I think.
Yeah. Right, moving swiftly on.
Oh, the Islands. Islands 10k. Scott Reed, ahead of the game, 289 points, 159 species. Lots of seabirds to report. Scopoles, South Polar skuas, red-footed booby, brown booby, and loads of Wilson's petrels and Corey shearwaters. Excellent stuff. Vince Stork in the Netherlands, 286 points. It's pretty close. 189 species. John Bowler on Tyree, 269, and Steve Dudley in Northwest Stray, White Rum Sand, Barred Warbler and some Ickies, Ictory Warblers. Bonaparte Skull.
I think there's going to be quite a bit of change in this.
Yeah, I
And
can
there'll be a
see.
few
I can see one.
highlights coming
Yeah,
up.
I think Sean Morris's highlight of back pain might improve in September. He hopes it's more
And
productive.
Bruce Taylor might have a few more things to add next year,
Yeah,
month as well.
Yeah,
And John Bowler.
yeah,
And Vincent.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
And Scott.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think John Bowler might have missed out on the yellow warbler.
Oh, did he?
It was on the other side of the island, I think, found by someone else. It wasn't in his garden, that's for sure. I don't know whether it's in his patch, maybe in his 10k patch, but
Yeah, it was his 10k, so yeah, it's
yeah.
10k.
There you
So yeah, the islands proper. Dave Roach, Papa West Stray, 280 points, 148 species. Wilson Patch Gold for John Bowler. A Great Crested Grebe. That's
That's
pretty good.
That's a good bit of patch gold if you
Yeah.
live on an island.
I like that. 240 points, 157 species for him. Vince Stork in the Netherlands, 227 points and 168 species. Scott Reed's got a couple of highlights from St Mary's. Very little attention paid to patch, but a nice male redback shrike. Steve Dudley in Westray, Barred Warbler and Ictory Warblers again.
Very good. Nice bit of drift stuff there.
Second page of the islands, Kevin Kelly on 100 points. That's good, triple figures, and 76 species.
Fresco's having a bad year.
Yes.
The Netherlands. Rob van Bemelen. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
He's on 331 points. That's a big score.
That's a big score. Yeah.
209 species with a self-found tawny pipit. That's pretty good.
What's his patch called?
Soy Becker, Egmont, and Z.
Oh, Toby.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
Why did you make him do it?
I thought I'd have a go.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
Sorry for everyone in this league. Right, so we'll go on to the next one.
Ben Gaxiola. He's on 211 points, 157 species. Rob again on 168 points and some highlights, 2 migrating Caspian turns, which are pretty cool. And yeah.
I think they're a bit more regular on passage in Holland than they are on this side of the North Sea, but still a really good record because obviously they're not a common bird anywhere in Europe. So fantastic. Well done all of those people. Right, we'll do the top 10s. We'll quickly whiz through these. So we've already talked about all the highlights, but in top on the 10k patches, it's Rob van Bemmelen at Soccerbacker on 331 with a big healthy lead over Nigel Lound at Jib Point, who's on 293. Obviously a good month and a few fines. We'll soon sort that out. Scott Reed has shot up into 3rd place, and he's on the Oscilli, obviously, with his 10k with all those ridiculous seabirds. And then Vince Stork's in 4th. Then in the green top 10, well, Jacob Spinks, because he doesn't leave Spurn, qualifies somehow. So he's on 349 points, and he's only 18 ahead of Rob. That's crazy. That's really crazy. There's good diversity on Rob's patch then. I don't know that area.
But Rob's, that's a 10k league.
No, it's
Rob's.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, you've got the one.
Oh, have I done a thing? I think I've done a thing here, haven't I?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. we'll sort it out. And then the 3K leagues, the overall top 10, we've got Jacob in first place on 349, a 22-point lead over Rob Hunton. Some guy called Ryan in third with a million seabirds. He's on 292. Although I fear for you, Ryan, this month. I've got to be honest. I don't think you're going to be holding third place come the end of this. I think Bruce Taylor might be kicking your butt.
I think a few people will be. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't. September, I don't think I added a huge amount.
That's the point.
The things I found were off the blooming patch.
Bruce Taylor will be claiming extra fine points for multiple. Because I mean, let's touch on this next month. But yes, fun things. So well done, everybody. Thanks for getting this far, and we'll just go briefly. I'll stop sharing, and we can talk about what we think is going to happen in October, because we know what's happened at the end of September, where all the American birds in the world have turned up. So,
what were our predictions for September?
I'm pretty sure I said some mad American bird.
I think I said some stupid seabird, but I don't think I got it right.
No. I think Pete. I don't think Pete gave us a straight answer, did he?
No, he sat the fence. So we can let Toby start. So what we do is, what's going to be the best bird on your patch, and then what's the best bird that's going to turn up in the UK in October
in Patchwork Challenge.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
so I can say where it's going to be as well.
You can do that if you like.
Okay.
Show off. Go on.
So my patch, I think the best bird I could probably get in October would probably be another wader, an American wader. I'll go semi-palmated sandpiper. I think with a few comes in if they never big high tide, brings quite a few waders onto the marsh, then and onto the reserve. It's possible that would do really cool. That would be brilliant. I've only ever seen one, so
you've picked the one American bird that is the total opposite to the ones you found already.
Yeah,
the
most boring, the worst American wader.
I like them.
They're like a small crap western sand with a.
Well, I can go west. I don't know. I rate a semi-palmated sandpiper.
Yeah, no, they are.
I'm being a dick, obviously.
And so my prediction for what's going to turn up in the wider UK, I think it's going to be something from the east. I think we've had plenty of west stuff. I think it's going to be something from the east. I'll go with Spurn. I think that's where it's going to be. I'm going to go Eastern Crowned Warbler.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. It's not mental.
It would be a new bird for Spurn.
It would, yeah.
Yeah.
There's only been half a dozen records.
It's been a while since the last one, I think.
Well, I saw the one at Bempton. What's that? 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a bit longer. Time is a kind of flexible thing, isn't it, when it comes to these things? What do you reckon, Ryan? What's going to happen on your patch?
Well, in reality, I'm going to stare at lots of trees, pending I'm looking for American Warblers, and fail yet again. But let's not live in reality and say I'm going to find a water thrush.
Which flavour water thrush are you going to find? Aim high. It's too late. So which flavour water thrush are you going to find?
I know. Well, I was just about to say, but I'll just go northern, please.
Yes. Oh yeah. And for the UK?
And for you, well, that's going to be the best birds.
Oh, fine. He is playing it safe. All right, nice. Well, I think for my patch, I'm going to be incredibly dull, really dull, and just say I'm going to find a Richards Pipit because I need the 3 bonus points. I can't believe they still get 3 bonus points, but I will take them if I find it.
Wait a minute. You just said that semi-P sandpaper was dull, and then you picked Richards Pipit.
Yeah, I've gone for something that I might actually find. I'm aiming realistic, but then unrealistically, there's a side blue robin coming out and it's going to be on Rob Little's patch on the north side of Flamborough, and it's going to be an adult.
Like that one in Orkney.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is basically what I've got in my head. It's probably it's come out of a net at North Landing at Flamborough, and then a million people are chasing it round. But yeah, it'd still be pretty, wouldn't it?
I've got a funny feeling it'll probably more likely end up in Barra or something.
Well, I mean, to be honest, with Bruce's record, I think, to be fair, I'm more likely to find one of his drip down Tennessee warblers than anything else. There's so many of them.
Yep. I've got another month of pretending and hoping and failing.
And failing. But trying. And that's
exactly.
The key.
It's the trying that's fun, I think.
That's true.
It's the failing that's less fun.
Yeah.
And on that note, we will call it a day. I will stop the record there.